Right, so welcome everyone to Fair Riders Diaries. And we've got an early start today because we've got something like 300 miles to cover down to Loomies Cafe for no other reason than to meet up with the rest of the Idiot Collective. About this time last year we did the Jurassic run, which was a huge success, and there hasn't been anything similar to that this year. So this is just a very informal meet with maybe a dozen of us instead of the 50 or 60 or 85, whatever it was. So I'm going to stop for some fuel, plug in my MP3 player and get myself going on the M6. And that's my 12-volt plug socket. That's going to run my GPS and the camera up here. And I'm talking to you on the drift on the lid, so we see how we get on with this. Now, the bike went through its MOT last week, went through it absolutely fine, no advisories, good as gold. Not expecting any problems, got no reason to. If there was an issue, it was with the clutch. It was slipping a couple of months ago, and I was just doing a lazy fourth gear overtake. Maybe the engine was lagging a little bit and I saw the rev spin up and I wasn't actually going very fast, so got the clutch cover off, inspected the plates. All the plates fell within spec, that wasn't a problem. Oh, okay then. Looked at the springs. The springs were okay, but not as stiff as they could have been, so I've replaced a new set of springs in. Hopefully that sorted the problem. And while we was out, we just quickly renovated the clutch cover and made it look all nice and shiny. So provided you don't see me stuck at Flitwick services. Oh, you son of a bitch. That's not the start you want. Road closed, it says. Alright. Yeah, so provided I'm not stuck on Fleetwood services after about half an hour because the clutch is spinning up, I reckon it's going to take me about 5.5 hours to get myself down to Loomies Cafe. We're not going to make a song and dance about it, we're going to try and get down as quick as we can, so it's mainly going to be motorways. I won't bother you showing you that, but there will be a montage, because there's always a montage. Even Rocky had a montage, so we'll put something a little something together for that. But it's about 300 miles, which is about as many miles as I want to do in one day, to be brutally honest. Even when I'm out touring, if I'm going through France or Germany or anywhere in Europe, 300 miles is pretty much it. I don't want to do any more than that. Just for the sake of your riding enjoyment. After 300 miles it starts to become a bit of a chore, in my opinion. So yeah, 300 miles does it for me. And although it's the middle of October, it is unseasonably mild here. Even here in Cumbria, at this time of morning, it's about 14 degrees. Which means down south it's going to be something like 18 or 19. And this doesn't happen so often. Even so, I've got the corduroy jacket on. I haven't bought the leathers. Although these might be nice temperatures during the day, early in the morning, later in that night, these temperatures will get down. The leather, it's very close to the skin. The jacket offers a little bit more air circulating around, which gives it more breathability. If anybody knows anything about camping, they'll know that you keep warm by the air trapped in between layers, and that's what I want today. I want air trapped in between layers, and that'll keep me nice and toasty and warm. You don't want to be uncomfortable on a long run. So here we go, we'll do a quick splash and dash and then we'll get ourselves on the road.
Destiny is a rising sun. Oh, I was born, 6-gun in my hand, behind a gun, I make my final stand. Hey, that's why they call me bad company, and I can't deny bad company till the day I die. Till the day I die. Till the day I die. Rebel souls, deserters we are called, chose a gun and threw away the sword. Now these towns, they all know our name. 6-gun sound is our claim to fame. I can hear them say.
Now, as far as the Idiot Collective is concerned, this has all been arranged by Sumatra Johnny and Bud, as far as I'm aware. And just having a little read through last night, it sounds like we've got Blinds down there as well. Boris is already down there. Roland sadly can't make it. Skint Eastwood, Skint Eastwood, can you believe it? Skint Eastwood, we haven't heard back from. He's coming from a similar distance to I, because he's coming down from York. I'm of course coming down from the Lake District. I've got a 320-mile trip down, and it's taken me just over 4 hours. He's got maybe 300 miles, and it'll probably take him about 90 minutes. Because he's got a ZZR 1400, I believe. And I understand that he uses all of it. Right, so here we go. We're about 1.5 miles from Loomies. And I've never been to Loomies before, naturally, because I live 320 miles away. But I'm going to use the hive mentality. And the hive mentality is this: you don't look for the actual property itself. You look for where all the bikes are going in and out of. Just like if you was looking for a wasp's hive. You don't look for the wasp's hive, you look for where the wasps are going. So hopefully... And there's plenty of bikes around as well. And all in all, it hasn't been a bad journey. I've made a couple of stops. The bike's not returning great fuel economy at the moment. I don't know why. Normally I can easily see 180, 190 out of the tank. I'm getting 165 on my last fill up, which is down about 10%, and I don't know why. You might have to have a little look at that. But other than that, the clutch has held out fine. It pulled really, really well the whole way down here. And I managed to average a wholly unnecessary but very welcome 75, 80 mile an hour the whole way down here. There we go, there's all my bikers. Now, where are you all coming from? Excuse me, mate, whereabouts is Loomies? Up there? Nice one. Alright. Lovely, off you go. Oh, fuck me. Right, so here we go. This is the famous Loomies. This is the one I've been telling me all about. And basically, it's the same sort of thing as Squires, only 320 miles further south.
So instead of
And being what could possibly be the last good Sunday of the year, what a lot of people call the end of summer run. It's got a fair few people. Now, a lot of them were just kicked out, to be perfectly honest. And everyone else is inside the cafe itself. But it's not bad at all. We've got some nice machines here, I'll tell you that much. This one you might recognise. This is Damage. And that's Mirius's bike. Which of course is on Del Boy's garage channel. Looking good in a rather ugly sort of way. KTMs, Ducatis. Can't knock it. Right, let's go inside, meet the rest of them.
Bad company, and I won't deny. Bad company, till the day I die. Yeah, till the day I
So there we go, that was Loomies. And I don't know how many bikes there were there, maybe 200, possibly 300. It all kind of gets a bit academic after a while. There was a lot, let me tell you. And it was a decent meet. We had, I don't know, maybe about 8 or 9 of us. And in lieu of the Jurassic run, and as I was saying to one of the fellas, Tim, because there'd been, I don't know, what should we call it? A lack of imagination and adventure? Well, that would be a fair way of saying it. But there hadn't been any runs out, there hadn't been any trips into Europe, there hadn't been any, or at least many, other things to do on the bike other than ride around the lakes. So is a 650-mile round trip worth it? Well, yeah, I think so. Because this is what the club's about. This is what keeps it going. It's this camaraderie and this willingness to make that effort. Now, the reason why we find ourselves on single track back road is because the route that we would have taken, for some reason, the old Bill have closed it. In my knowledge, the only reason why they close a route like that is because of an accident, possibly a fatality. And that's not a good thing. So we're going to head back to the pub. I'm going to set up camp and I'll speak to you all then. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, that elf, he's got it all worked out, hasn't he? He's got his kit sorted out, his tent sorted out, or you're thinking, that elf, what a knob. Well, yeah, I guess he could be one or the other. I like the idea of having it all worked out myself, but that's just me. So here we are, we're set up. We just had the end of the summer run, which is basically in lieu of the Jurassic run, which happened last year. And we had, I think it was about 7 or 8 of us, meet up at Loomies, which was a different destination to previous. No bad thing for that, it's a very famous biker cafe, and, or biker cafe. I don't know if bikers would call it cafe, as if cafe, can I have a latte macchiato? I don't know if that really happens, because all the other sort of people doing was drinking tea and eating full English breakfasts, but that seems to be the crack. But I'm here all in my lonesome because, unlike everybody else, I don't work Mondays to Fridays, I work Thursdays to Saturdays, which means everybody else is sodded off on a Sunday afternoon, evening, for work on Monday, and I don't go back to work until Thursday. So I've got this place to myself. So while I'm here, I might as well give you an idea of what I take for a camping outfit. Obviously, we have the cheapo Chinese copy chair. This is a very famous type of chair, the name of which escapes me at the moment, and they're very expensive. and I found out that these cheap Chinese copies were about half as good for about 1/10 of the price, which to me makes good economic sense. But it's a very simple hammock type chair with interlinking pipes, and this gives you an alternative to the normal three-legged stool that you fold up with the wraparound Velcro strap. They're okay, but this actually makes a big difference. So we have this as my new addition. Ta-da! The tent is new as well. For those of you who remember my video from last year, I had the Coleman Caucasus, which fell off the back of the bike. That was a lesson in always using belts and braces and not relying on just one form of security to fix something to the bike. It came off on a roundabout in between Tarbes and Bordeaux somewhere. So we have the new tent. The new tent is almost exactly the same as the old tent, only it's made by Vango this time. It's a Pulsar 200, and this gives you the specs. So that's what we've got now, and as you can see, it's got 5,000mm waterproof, head of water, Paralite alloy poles, and this tension band system. I'll show you that. The tension band system is this piece of nonsense. Now, presumably, this is to give it some kind of stability in high winds, which may well happen tonight because we've got Hurricane Ophelia, or rather the tail end of it, hitting the UK. But while we're inside the tent, I might as well show you my setup. Now, the tent gives you enough sleeping space for 2 people, which basically means me and my gear. I could put all the gear in here and fit 2 people in, but as it's just me, I might as well just use the most use of the space. I like the idea of keeping all my leathers and my lid inside my tent with me, rather than out here on the grass, because you don't get any bugs crawling into it. It's a bit more secure. The sleeping bag is a bit of an oddity, but it's a down sleeping bag, which means it's very warm and it packs up very, very small. The thing is that's odd about it though, is that it's only half a sleeping bag. This bottom half is just a thin nylon sheet. The rest is just regular loft, but this bottom half is a nylon sheet. Now the reason why this is because the X-Ped, the mats, these have their own comfort ratings now. So you strap the X-Ped mat to the bottom of the sleeping bag, and what this does is it just saves a whole lot of space and weight, which is important when you're carrying all your gear on the bike. And the rest of the stuff I think I've already been through. Pots and pans, we got freeze-dried food. I forgot my spork. I can't believe it, I forgot my spork. We do have an emergency backup spork, but it's not quite as good. And that is my tent setup. Now, thankfully, everything will fit into this bag. This is fairly familiar to you, it's the Oxford Products bag. It's expandable both in width and in height, and it gives you lots of storage space inside. Yeah, emergency backup spork. It's not really the same thing. And that's basically my tent setup. It's all working rather lovely. So we'll actually see if I can get a decent night's kip out of it. And if we do, all well and good. If we don't, I'll tell you about it in the morning. So why are we leaving at good old 4 o'clock in the morning? Well, the reason basically is something called Storm Ophelia. This is a storm that's brewing out in Portugal somewhere. It's on its way up, and apparently it's going to hit the west of England at mid-afternoon. So it makes a lot of sense to me to get home before mid-afternoon, which is why I've given myself, what, 11:30. Which means leaving at 6 in the morning, which getting up at 5 and all that good stuff. So we'll see how that pans out. And in the meantime, we'll wait for the hurricane. Really? Fuck me, really? 6 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. Bollocks to this. Everybody braking. Why is everybody braking? Look at this, just lines and lines and lines of cars. I remember when this was the norm, but I haven't seen this for like 6 years now. And dear God, you don't miss it.